gives me great pleasure to welcome you today and certainly warms my heart. This particular series, perhaps more than any other, speaks to the heart and soul of our community. The amazing organizations and their dedicated staff and volunteers who perform acts of kindness in a way that gives dignity to so many members of the Jewish community is something that certainly deserves to be highlighted. The sages teach Tanakh, in fact, a pasuk, a phrase, Olam b'chesed yiboneh. Olam, the world, b'chesed, with kindness, yiboneh, is built. For the world to exist, one needs chesed. Without it, the world cannot continue to exist. As it is taught in Pirkei Avos, Al shlosha devarim ha'olam oimed, on three things the world rests, Torah, Avodah, and Gemilas Chasodim. A world without chesed is not a world at all. One beautiful practical explanation given by Rabbi Pesach Krohn regarding the topic of chesed in general is as follows. A person has a teacher who teaches people. The teacher, God forbid, needs a doctor. The teacher might be a great teacher, might be the best teacher, but the teacher isn't a doctor. The doctor needs his or her clothes tailored. The doctor might be a great doctor, but the doctor isn't a tailor. And even if you have someone who's extremely talented in many areas, there is always going to be an area where he or she needs someone for something. We all need each other. Without each other, the world can't actually continue. The Chofetz Chaim explained the following in relation to the after blessing known as Borei Nefoshos. We say the statement in this blessing, an acknowledgement that God creates numerous living things. Borei Nefoshos Rabos. And then we say, Borei Nefoshos Rabos v'chesronon. The way that Art Scroll translates this word, v'chesronon, is all of their needs. In truth, what it really means, chesronon, means all of their lackings. If that's the case, why in the world would we want to ever dramatize our own shortcomings? And the answer is, as the prayer concludes, la'chayos bohem nefesh kol chai, with which to maintain the life of every being. Our challenges give others an opportunity for chesed and vice versa. We all have what to give and we all have what to do for one another. The following story is told by Rabbi Krohn about himself, that there was a time in his life when he was going through a little bit of a challenging period, and an individual came to him and said that he wanted to give him a sizable amount of money. And Rabbi Krohn responded and said to him, he's not poor, he doesn't need the money. So the individual said, this is not a gift, it's a loan. You're going to need to pay it back. So Rabbi Krohn took the money, took it home, gave it to his mother. His mother said, we don't need this money. And he said to his mother, it's not a gift, it's a loan. And she said, well, when are we going to have to pay it back? He said he didn't tell us when. He said, whenever we can, we'll pay it back. And a few years later, he went back to the individual and asked the individual, can I pay back the loan? And the individual said to him, I'd like to tell you another story. A couple of years ago, I found myself in a difficult situation. An individual came to me and gave me a loan, much the same as the loan that I gave to you. And when I went back to pay him back the loan, he told me, as I'm going to tell you today, he told me, you're going to pay back the loan, but not to me. You're going to find someone else who's also in need. You're going to pay it back, yes, but you're going to pay it forward. And in doing so, you're going to pay it back. It's not by chance that Avraham Avinu embodied chesed, and that Moshe Rabbeinu also embodied chesed. The capacity to see the need, to see and to feel the feelings of another come right from the source of what it really means to be a Jew. We all need each other, but perhaps more importantly, we can all give to one another. Our hope through this series is to highlight that, number one, obviously, recognition and gratitude for their tremendous dedication and commitment, which is very much due to all those that facilitate and do tremendous acts of chesed. In fact, any chesed at all. But number two, as importantly, through recognizing what is done, we can, please God, inspire each other to do a little bit more. Everyone can make a difference. And in fact, we all need one another. The Base and Soul presents a special 5-part series, one-on-one talks with people leading the organizations that support, that serve, that save the Jewish community. Tonight we are honored to be hosting Yad Aharon and Michael, Alice Friedman, interviewed by Rob Katz. And with that, I'd like to hand over to Rob.
Thank you, Rabbi. A beautiful, beautiful story that you told. And I can unequivocally tell you, having known Alice and working communally with Alice for many, many years, that without a doubt, your story applies 100% to Alice and to the way that Alice does chesed. And in fact, Alice is a living, breathing human being with chesed at her absolute core. So a warm welcome to our viewers. I hope that the series is fulfilling and meaningful to each and every single one of you. And a warm welcome to Robin and Sol. Robin, hello, and we'll hear from you at the end. And most important, a very, very warm welcome to our guest tonight. At first I was interviewing, but then I actually realized, Alice, this is like old boys at the club over here. So we're actually not even going to be interviewing you. We're going to be speaking to you. We're going to have having a talk and a conversation. But that's going to take place after our video. We've got a short video which we'd just like to show our viewers. And then once that video is over, Alison and myself are going to engage in a discussion about Yad Aharon.
Welcome to Yad Aharon and Michael, Johannesburg's leading independent Jewish food fund. Our core focus is to provide Jewish families in need with the basic human right to a nutritionally balanced fresh produce parcel on a weekly basis. In addition to our principal project, we've created several other initiatives which enable our beneficiaries to lead a traditional and such as our special Yom Tov hampers, which overflow with an abundance of basic groceries and traditional foods, ensuring that our families celebrate the various Yom Tovim with joy and dignity. The Or Natanel School Lunchbox Project, fondly referred to as Happiness in a Box, provides children of school-going age with the delicious treats and the nutrition they need to stay focused and ready for learning. Our Chesed from the Garden of Eden project provides our recipients with extra dry goods from our free in-house supermarket. Yad Soup for the Soul, the only kosher soup kitchen in the country, provides those less fortunate with much-needed additional cooked meals and delicious treats. Our recipients are approached with empathy and sensitivity, thereby preserving their dignity. Yad Aharon and Michael are solely reliant on the generous donations from our caring community. So please, take your seat at our communal table and become an agent of change. Visit yadaharon.co.za to learn more.
As with all base webinars, please feel free as listeners to send questions through, comments, questions. The panelists will be able to read them, and we would like to respond appropriately. Alice, it seems like Yad Aharon has been around forever. Alice, let's just talk about the organization's beginnings. And I do know, but I'm not sure that all our listeners know who Yad Aharon was named after. And I think it's important that we mechuber the memory before we actually start with the organization. So can you just explain exactly who Yad Aharon was named after, and then we'll get into what actually Yad Aharon actually does.
Sure. Thank you very, very much for this invitation, Rob. It is such a privilege and an honor to be part of this series, and I just want to thank the base and soul as well.
It's only a pleasure. We welcome you with open arms.
Yad Aharon and Michael was named after the late Rob Aharon and Michael Zayn, and they were both, I'm not sure how many people know, because it is 22 years ago, both killed in a very tragic accident on the way to or from the Kruger Park. And the organization, which I believe was already in existence but didn't have a name, was named very aptly after them.
Right. Alice, can you explain, as you say, it's many, many, many years that Yad Aharon has been around. And in fact, for some, it's their whole lives that Yad Aharon has been around. But how did we actually start? How did Yad Aharon actually get started? And maybe you want to just describe the early days of Yad Aharon, just so that you can give some context to the journey that Yad Aharon has taken.
Well, the interesting thing about Yad Aharon, Rob, is that it was born out of necessity. The two ladies who started it in Yeovil, I believe it was a Mrs. Bina Drazen and one of the Mrs. Emanuels, who were really stalwarts of the old Yeovil. They realized that there were a few people in their building who needed food for Shabbos. And before we knew it, the family started multiplying, and that is how Yad Aharon was born. It got bigger and bigger, and eventually it moved. It moved out of Yeovil to someone's house, and that's when it became a fresh produce parcels distribution organization. And that's important because we don't give out cooked food. We believe that giving fresh produce parcels gives our recipients the opportunity to cook for themselves, to choose what to cook. And we believe that it adds to the feeling of self-respect and self-esteem. So the focus of Yad Aharon has always been food. We are a niche organization strictly concentrating on food projects. All our projects are centered.
Sorry, Alice, can I just interrupt 1 second? We have a question from the floor. It's not a question, it's more of a comment that they're struggling to hear you. I can hear you clearly, but perhaps not all of our listeners can. Is it possible, Alice, that you can either turn up the mic or, dare I say, speak a little bit louder?
Right, how's this, Rob?
Perfect, I'm perfect. If that viewer can just respond to us and just say if that's a bit better, but I think that is much better.
Right.
Thank
Okay.
you, Alice.
Thank you. So as I was saying, the big difference between Yad Aharon and other organizations is that it is a niche organization. And as such, our supporters and our donors know where their funds are going. It can only go to one thing, and that's food. Of course, there are various projects, all food related, but to get back to your original question, the core project of Yad Aharon are the fresh produce parcels, which are given every week, and they consist of 4 types of fruits, seasonal fruits, 4 types of vegetables, potatoes, bread, and at the moment, 4 different types of proteins. Our aim is to, please God, increase that to 7. But at the moment, they get 4 proteins, which is chosen out of meat, fish, chicken, dairy products, eggs. So we make sure that our parcels are very nutritious and balanced, so that our recipients are afforded a good and, as I say, a balanced diet.
Yeah. Alice, the one thing which Yad Aharon is certainly known in this Kehillah for, and the rabbi actually mentioned the word chesed. I'd like to go further than that and say not only is it chesed, it's most certainly a Yiddish neshama. There's no one in this town will say that Yad Aharon doesn't operate with a Yiddish neshama. And, you know, I've always said that, you know, when you talk about Jewish organizations, that they great organizations, the organization in and of itself is not great. It's the people behind the organization that makes the organization great. Alice, tell me, you yourself, okay, how long have you been involved in Yad Aharon? I think it's an important part of the tapestry of Yad Aharon that our viewers can get an understanding of the people behind Yad Aharon. You yourself, you've spoken about how we started, you've spoken about who it was named after, you've spoken it came out of Yovel, but how did Alice Friedman get involved, and when did Alice Friedman get involved?
Okay, if I can just give a little bit of personal background into...
Sure.
I actually come from the Congo, and we came...
We won't hold it against you, Alice.
Thank you so much. The Democratic Republic of Congo, yeah. And I had quite a difficult childhood. I suffered quite badly from grand mal seizures as a child. I remember my late father having to bring me from the Congo to the old Johannesburg Children's Hospital on a regular basis to have lumbar punctures and all sorts of things. So it was a tough childhood. I experienced what it was like to be ostracized, to be kind of left on the periphery socially. And this difficulty continued because when we immigrated from the Congo to Durban, again, I couldn't talk the language. It was a very, very difficult thing.
When you say, Alice, you couldn't talk the language, you say, I assume you spoke French?
Yes. French, but no English whatsoever.
Were your family originally from Rhodes Island?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So just for our viewers' edification, a heap load of Jews from Rhodes Island, just off Greece, actually came to Congo, and those that remained on Rhodes Island were all shipped off to Auschwitz by the Nazis.
That's it. Well, actually, my maternal grandmother's whole family was wiped out. So, yes, but as far as my family go, my grandparents arrived in the Congo, and my parents met there, and the rest is history. So when we arrived in Durban, as I say, it was very hard, not knowing the language. I felt that even culturally, I was different. I came from a very sheltered home. I was exceptionally close to my late dad, who really took me under his wing insofar as my illness was concerned. And the real breaking point of my life was when he passed away at the age of 44. I was 17 at the time, and that really changed my life. I was hospitalized for 2.5 years with a major nervous breakdown, and I had a near-death experience during that time. I really was at death's door, and all that, Rob, all those experiences drove me to Yiddishkeit. I realized that you can't depend on human beings because they die and they leave you, whereas Hashem is there forever. And that was the beginning of my road to becoming frum. Now, you asked me how I got involved.
And the reason that I asked Alice simply is because I just, it's very, very important. As I said, in my opinion, Jewish charitable organizations are a result of the people who run them. They don't just run themselves. Hence, what I'm trying to establish for our viewers, obviously, Alice, we've worked close together. I know you very, very well. But what I'm trying to say is that there's obviously something behind the chesed and the Yiddish neshama that you bring to Yad Aharon, which is critical. We can discuss what Yad Aharon does as the other, but it's the manner in which you make people feel so special that I'm trying to bring out here. And what I'm trying to establish is what's behind it.
Well, I think that the hardships in my life, certainly I have a huge role to play. My empathy towards exceptional empathy, not being judgmental at all, being totally accepting of people. You know, a lot of things that I felt were lacking in my life have come to the fore. And when I started at Yad Aharon, I heard about it on one Shabbos. Someone who had been to Israel and had visited a similar food fund came back and said, you know, there is such a thing in Johannesburg. And the very next day I phoned and I became involved as a driver and a packer. At the time, we actually operated from the old Sunny Road Shul, the old Sunny Road Shul. We operated from their garage. We were still small enough to do that. And by the time I took over, we had about 65 food parcels. So when I said took over, the lady who ran it before me, Ilana Chiga, went off to have twins. And even though I had no intention of becoming, you know, the main person to run the organization, I was given no choice. Rabbi Schnurb, who ran it at the time, assured me that he would support me, and my husband Trevor also was very supportive in the idea. And that's how I started. I was a volunteer for about 9 of the now 22 years. And in a sense, you know, I grew with the organization. I grew with the people. At the time, I really knew every recipient intimately. Now I'm afraid I can't say that, because being at over 660 families now, it's a bit difficult to know everybody intimately. But I have to stress that although we have grown exponentially, the neshama of Yad Aharon, I don't think that our recipients see it as a home away from home. Nobody is embarrassed to come to Yad Aharon. In fact, they come and spend time there. Since we have our soup kitchen, people just arrive and they have coffee and they schmooze, and it's a place where, you know, loneliness, for the time that they're there, no one is lonely because everybody's in the same boat and no one is made to feel inferior. In fact, you know, I would say that the way Yad Aharon, in one word, sees our recipients is calling them achicha, our brothers. Therefore, there is no dividing line really between us and our recipients. And you know, I'm very, very aware that we are all created b'tselem Elokim. And if you have that in your head every minute of the day, no matter how distasteful someone can look or smell or be, no matter how poor they are, you see beyond that, because at the end of the day, we are all made in Hashem's image, and that underpins the way we treat our clients. And I'm really, my staff has learned the same thing. And as I say, I may be the head of the organization, but it's very much a team effort. I have a fantastic staff. I have fantastic volunteers. Of course, there are our donors who are the lifeblood of the organization. Without them, there would be no organization.
Yeah. Alice, just, you know, some of the comments coming in is, you know, your love and kindness and the way you treat recipients is so beautiful and amazing. So, you know, I think that the listeners are just corroborating what you said. As I said, you know, for me, the most important thing in a Jewish organization is running it to the Yiddish neshama. I don't think anyone can even dare question that coming from Yad Aharon. And it's just practically speaking, a person needs to be a recipient of a food parcel. They've never dealt with Yad Aharon before. There might even be an awareness on this program for people about what Yad Aharon does and the manner. And the most important is the manner in which it treats its recipients. A person is made aware of Yad Aharon, and in this COVID crisis, it's affecting everybody. What is the next step? How do they actually get hold of the organization? Say, if you can take us literally from start to finish on the process.
There are various ways in which we get new recipients to apply. It's mostly by word of mouth, either from a rabbi of the community, a family member, increasingly family members who ordinarily would assist their family members who are in dire straits, especially now in these times, as you say. COVID has hit people really badly in some way or other. So families who can no longer assist their mishpacha refer them to us. And also, birds of a feather flock together. We get a lot of referrals from our existing recipients. And so word of mouth is the main thing. I just want to say that the Chev also refer people to us, which is because it decreases the doubling up, which is a crucial thing in these economic times. And it also shows that we have a very cordial networking relationship with them, which is very important. So just repeat what you were asking me, Rob.
I'm saying a person who's let's say listening in on the show, who either themselves or know someone who can benefit from Yad Aharon, how do they get the food parcel? Do they apply? Is there a form that has to be filled out? What?
Right. So once the person is finds us, then they have to fill in a basic application form. And over and above that, which was very, very difficult for me to implement a few years ago, we now ask for bank statements. Over the last few years, we have. Up until then, I wasn't, because I was very aware that the Torah says when someone asks for food, you don't increase their embarrassment and their pain by asking any more questions. But as things became more difficult, our donors insisted, and rightly so, that we should ask for bank statements. So now that's part of our what shall I say, of the way we do things. And then we also have a part-time social worker. Up until Gwen joined us, I was really doing it on my own. So having a social worker definitely improves it improves the way we do things, in that it's not just me making the decisions, So also, I'm very, as you know, I'm extremely soft, whereas Gwen is much more, she's much more objective, and so we're a very good shidduch. And once we have both looked at the form and discussed it, then we decide whether the person qualifies, and if the answer is yes, they are assigned a box number. That's also very important. We are extremely, extremely strict on confidentiality and maintenance of self-esteem. So the person, there is no name on the box. The food parcel has the box number of the person. So when they arrive to collect their box, all they say is their box number our distribution staff is fully aware of who's who, and that's how the box is collected.
There's a question from the floor, I think in direct response to what you've just said over here. Is, you know, you did say that you look for bank statements. One of the questions coming from the floor is typically, you know, what would be a reason for a decline? You know, if I know you, Alice, I think that those are in the vast minority, significant minority. But, you know, I think it's an important question to ask, simply because you may have a person who would want to come, but, you know, obviously, you know, as you say, you don't want to embarrass anyone. On what basis would someone be declined a food parcel? And Alice, while you're answering that question, perhaps you can answer this question at the same time. Are there different food parcels for different categories of person?
Yes.
So it's a two-part question.
Sure. The person is declined basically. The bank statements must show that once all the basic expenses have been paid or bond, medical aid, if there are still recipients who can afford medical aid or hospital plan, is becoming less and less. Water and electricity, you know, once all the basic education, once all the basics have been covered, what is left for food? That is my bottom line. The other thing is, I must tell you that Gwen is the one who looks at the bank statements with a fine-tooth comb. But, you know, if we notice that the person eats out a lot, or, you know, has takeouts too often, or goes to the spa once a month, you know, things that even I don't do. So we look at that sort of thing, not because we want a lesser lifestyle for the person, but because if somebody comes to ask for food, then if there are ways to curtail other expenses so that that money can be redirected towards food, then we encourage that. So that is really the main guidelines that we follow. Again, I want to stress again and again that we don't expect people to come in when they are totally down and out. I mean, I am very insistent on my clients keeping their self-esteem, their self-respect, you know, but Rob, if someone just has 1,000 rand, or if the bank balance at the end of every month is in the minus, which most of them are, then there's no Shaya, then they qualify. In terms of...
And then Alice, the size of the basket?
Yes. We have 4 sizes. We have small, medium, large, and extra large. The small feeds 1 and 2 people. The medium, 3 and 4. The large, 5 and 6. And the extra large, 7 and above. So, and obviously the contents of the parcel varies according to the size of the family. So I must admit that especially for the large and extra large, the parcel does not cover the entire week, unfortunately, not yet. But other, you know, the box plus other initiatives such as Chickens for Shabbos or our in-house supermarket, you know, of course, the soup kitchen, we do beef up, excuse the pun, the food parcels so that, you know, we try and maximize it as much as possible.
Beautiful, beautiful. Alice, I think you've given a nice overview of Yad Aharon, where the organization has come from, how it operates, the number of families which Yeah, I must tell you, I for one didn't realize. Listen, I know that Yad Aharon has been around a long, long time, and I know that it supports a lot of people. I didn't realize well over 650 people. I suppose that's just indicative of the impact of the economic crisis in South Africa, coupled with COVID. But if we get onto the specific projects of Yad Aharon, I for one, I know about the soup kitchen. Maybe you want to talk about the soup kitchen, but what other projects are there that Yad Aharon run? So let's talk projects and maybe talk about the soup kitchen. I don't know if that's a specific project or if that's an ongoing project. And then, Alice, just, before the Chagim, are there any special initiatives? Are there, is it an extra something in the bundle or anything else?
Sure. Well, as I said, the core project is the food parcel, which is given out every week. Over and above that, we have an in-house supermarket, which I initially started as an emergency, as strictly for emergencies. In other words, a mom would come and say, I have nothing to give the kids for supper tonight. Okay, let's go to the supermarket, get a packet of pasta, some tuna, some, whatever, a tin of fruit, and their supper. Now, as time went on, the supermarkets became more and more not only popular, but necessary, so that now I would say it is almost as important in the context of feeding our clients as the food parcel itself. Due to demand far outweighing supply, unfortunately, it's not they cannot come and ask once a month, but once every 2 to 3 months, they get to, in inverted commas, shop in the supermarket. It's all for free, of course, and they just get the feeling of what it's like to go shopping, which is extremely important, again, in terms of self-esteem. Then there is, of course, the Or Natanel project, which is a monthly hamper of lunchbox treats, which is so looked forward to by the children. It's children of school-going age. That project was established in memory of the late Nathanael Fagenbaum, who again passed away very tragically in a motor car, in an accident. And I believe that he used to love preparing his lunchbox according to his mom, and so it was really shy to make up a project like that in his name. Every project, Rob, is started in response to an actual need that is brought to our attention, that just cannot be swept under the carpet. The soup kitchen. Now, the soup kitchen is a phenomenal initiative. It's the only kosher soup kitchen probably in Africa, yeah, including the Congo. And that project, the seed for that project was planted in my mind when I noticed from my that certain recipients were starting to eat out of the box while they were still on the premises. They would take a slice of bread or a piece of fruit, and they couldn't even wait until they were in their cars to start eating. And it took a couple of years for the soup kitchen to become a reality. I was very nervous of the idea. A soup kitchen is really, it's like reaching the bottom of the barrel. Soup kitchens and Jewish people just don't go together. But eventually we established it, and I tell you, all my fears of how will the recipients take to it, they evaporated in the first soup kitchen we had. The recipients came and said, why did it take so long to start this project? And we have eating area where they sit and they schmooze, and they, now that with COVID, unfortunately, we can't serve yet, but the way we do it in takeaway tubs, so that they don't miss out on it. But I look forward to the day when we can once again have it on the premises where people can come and enjoy each other's company. And our volunteers in the soup kitchen are angels. They actually serve our clients. Literally, they serve them. And it's kind of the shoes on the other foot now. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
They are made to feel so special and so valued. And talking about a shoe, talking about the shoes on the other foot, I just want to mention one thing. And that is that, we were learning with my husband over Shabbos, what is the mark of a leader? And according to one of the rabbis, I can't remember which one, a mark of a leader is somebody who can put themselves in the other person's shoes. In other words, somebody who can size up and listen to every person's individual tzoros, individual problems, so that he or she knows how to handle that person's circumstance. And I can say that unequivocally, that is as important as the food parcel, I would say.
Yes.
With a person,
Alice, how often does the soup kitchen run?
The soup kitchen runs on a Tuesday and a Wednesday, which are our two distribution days. The reason
Wednesday. Okay.
Yeah, Tuesday and Wednesday. The reason why we would do it more often, but people just don't have the petrol money to come and just for the soup kitchen. So once they're coming anyway to collect the parcels, then they are there in any case.
Yeah.
So they enjoy the soup kitchen.
Alice, I've got 3 questions for you coming from the floor, and none of them surprise me. So I'm going to ask you now the 3. The first question, and I don't know how you want to deal with this, Alice, is would it be possible to please share the bank details of Yad Aharon for us to make a donation? What an amazing neshama and organization. This, obviously for people who want to donate, I think that's a great thing. But how do we inform the people? We at the end give the bank details out on this show? Do they email the organization? What is your suggestion for people who are wanting to make donations to Yad Aharon?
Well, I think if you share the bank details at the end, Rob, that would be good. Otherwise,
okay, I will email. I've got your bank details. Funnily enough, I will email Moshe, and Moshe at the end of the show will put the bank details up. And I suppose, Alice, they can contact the organization, which will give the telephone number right at the end as well.
And they can email me, alice@yadaharon.co.uk.
Give all of those details at the end. That's fine. Then, Alice, the next question: how does one become a volunteer? Perhaps can I perhaps assist in packing parcels or the soup kitchen?
Sure. Now, there's always room for volunteers. Our parcels are packed we start on a Monday with the more hardy stuff like gem squash and potatoes and butternut, stuff that doesn't get squashed. So that the main packing day is Tuesday, 11:30, somewhere around there. So that is an opportunity to come and assist. Up until now, Rob, we've had mostly retired people who have packed purely because it's during working hours, and retirees have the time, So, but I mean, anyone who has the time is most welcome. Distribution takes place from 3 o'clock through to 6:45. That is where we are always looking for volunteer drivers. At the moment, I have a fleet of 60 drivers who
60.
take 60. Some of them are recipients who offer, and I encourage that as a means of giving back to the organization. They offer to take 1 or 2 parcels in the area to people who either cannot get there or don't have transport or maybe are very sensitive about being seen. So those are the parcels that get delivered. So drivers are
So
always,
Alice, is it best for them to contact the organization direct in response to that question?
yeah,
How
and
to
then,
contribute?
yes,
Fine.
please.
Okay, and we'll give out the phone number right at the end. Alice, another question coming from the floor. Is it helpful to donate old clothes in good condition?
Yes, we do have, that is an initiative we have. We separate the clothing. I have a lady who sorts the clothing. The best go to our recipient rooms for our recipients. We do have an outlet which sells the clothes that do not, they don't qualify for going into the recipient rooms, because obviously those are the best. And then we also, whatever isn't sold in the shop is given to other charities, which is very appreciated. So we do make some revenue from the clothing that we don't give out to recipients. But by all means, a lot of our families shop at Yad Aharon for clothing.
Okay, great. Alice, one of the questions coming through is, are there any plans to open a Yad Aharon in Cape Town? Is there such an organization similar?
Do you know, I have been asked that so many times to open up in Cape Town. I believe there is the equivalent of the Jewish Community Services there runs something similar. I'm not sure if it's as big, but I know that there is. I think the Chevra Kadisha over there should be contacted. But in terms of us opening a branch there is enough to do in Johannesburg, Rob. I mean, we are really flooded. So thank you very much for the question. But
it was actually a question coming from the floor. So there's probably someone in Cape Town who feels that A, it's needed, or B, they want to get involved. Okay.
They must just contact the Chevra Kadisha and take it from there.
Okay. Alice, the concluding question that I'd like to ask you is, and then we're going to give the contact details, both the telephone number and the email of the organization. And actually, one of the viewers actually sent me through the bank details for the organization, which we'll all give at the end. But the concluding question, which I'd like you to comment on, is, you've been around a long, long time, Alice. You've seen it all. You've experienced it all. You've lived it all, actually. What is your concluding message to the community?
Well, first of all, I want to thank our community. It is really a very generous community. To thank everybody for their confidence in Yad Aharon. The bottom line is that food is in our DNA. Food is very important to Jewish people. I want to just slip in here that with Rosh Hashanah coming, our parcels are renowned for being absolutely phenomenal, as well as fruit and vegetables and all the protein items. We give hampers of dry goods as well. So I can honestly say that our clients, our families, do not need to buy anything for Yom Tov. The other thing I want to state is that a lot of families who are not ordinarily on our list come on our specials list for Rosh Hashanah because they would not be able to celebrate Yom Tov without our assistance. So, really, in conclusion, I would like to ask the community to give a thought to those who don't have, because in doing that, we can all sit down at our tables, knowing that all families supported by Yad Aharon will be joining us in the whole of Klal Yisrael in celebrating a year of sweetness, please God, a year of a better year than this year, and just simcha and bracha to everybody, and ksiva v'chasima tova.
Amen, Alice. Amen. Okay. Alice, thank you very much. Just a little bit of logistics, as I said. A person wants to phone in, they want to help, they want to inquire about food, they want to donate, for whatever reason they want to get hold of the organization. What is the best telephone number to get hold of them?
011 485 2076 or 640. Oh, you have it on there, 640.
I think Moshe is just sharing it now as we speak. So the number, the cell, so it's 011 485 2076
or 640 2106.
640 2106. Alice, I think, for people who want to go onto the website, what is the web address? Is it that one there, www.yadaharon?
Yes.
Okay. So that's that one. And email address, Alice?
Mine is alice@yadaharon.co.
We can just spell that, Alice, ALICE.
Right.
At
YAD.
right.
AHA, Aharon, it's important, AHARON.co.za. And I would encourage anybody, Rob, who feels that they would like to apply for a parcel. By applying to me, it is absolutely confidential. That information is not shared with anybody other than our social worker. So really, there's no need not to have food. There's enough tourists in the world. Just contact us and we'll do everything we can to assist.
Yes, wonderful. Alice, before I hand over to Robin, a big thank you, for agreeing to appear on our show. And I know the rabbi's going to thank you too, and I'm sure Robin will too. But just for me personally, it's always been a delight working with you over many, many years. And on behalf of the entire Kehillah, we wish you a good gebench to your alle gute Sachen, to you and to your family, and just basically a großen Dank for everything that you do for everybody.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Pleasure, Alice. Rob, I'd like to just invite you as our partner from Seoul to comment or ask any questions or anything.
So yeah, just to say a really big thank you. I think a huge thank you to Alice. We all know how many people in this community you hold up with such dignity and such kavod. So thank you to you. But I so often tell people, the South African Jewish community is world renowned for just their chesed and their warmth. And I think tonight is such an example. And we're privileged to hear from Alice, but on a personal note, just to Rob and Rabbi Aaron Zulberg, the fact that we're all doing this in partnership. A few people have said, oh, how did it work? How did Soul connect? And I think we always try and get Rob to speak to our community on chesed, and he lives it, he breathes it, he is it. And in a conversation with my partner, Kate Gershuni, we said we're doing this Elul program and we want to get the mind involved and growth and spirituality. We want to do chesed and we want to do exercise and movement. And Rob said straight away, we're doing something, come on board. And just to Rab Aaron Zulberg, whatever we've ever asked him, anything that can help the community, he doesn't think for a second. He just jumps in and get involved. And it's just a huge privilege for us to be able to do this together and hopefully to inspire more people to do good, for more people to be able to get help if they need, and for more people just to do chesed. So just on behalf of us, a huge thank you.
Only a pleasure, Rob.
Okay, thank you, Rob, and thank you for those very kind words, unnecessary words, but thank you nonetheless. On a personal note, and on behalf of the organizing group of this series and the whole base community, and in fact, I can extend it to say on behalf of the whole Jewish community, I want to start off by just saying a very big thank you to Alice for allowing us this opportunity. This evening is truly inspiring, and I say is in the present tense on purpose. What you and your team do is truly inspiring. The work you do, the volume of work you do, the way you do it, how you treat everyone. Hashem should continue to bless you and your family and all those who work with you to make this a reality, that you should be able to continue to do the amazing work you do and much more. There are certain acknowledgements and thank yous that are most necessary. I want to mention and thank our partners in this series, Soul, run by Kate Gershuni and Robin Smukler and Josh Sevitz. Thank you, Robin, for your kind words again, unnecessary, but thank you. But thank you to each one of you for this partnership and for all you do in general. Incredibly important work. Soul is run, for those that are not aware, under the SAPJE. It encompasses all Jewish life across the King David schools. Its focus is to make Judaism relevant, inspiring, and uplifting. It touches on formal curriculum, informal education, parent engagement, Israel and Poland trips, and powerful Jewish experiences. We're most excited to partner for this series, and please God, more partnerships in the future together. I want to say thank you to Rob Katz, not only for tonight, but in general, your commitment and dedication to the base, to the broader community, but in particular to the base is unwavering. To say it's unwavering is an understatement. Thank you, thank you. I also want to say thank you to our newest member in this team, even though he doesn't want any thanks. Nonetheless, though, thank you to Ari Weber for all you have done for this Chesed series. Please God, the start of much more to come. I also want to say thank you to my brother Moshe for all that he does to make these webinars a reality. We really could not do any of this without you. Thank you to all of you for joining us this evening. We look forward to seeing you again soon. Keep safe, have a good night, and be well.